Alright, so since we've seen to have a lot of questions about citing sources and giving credit to others' ideas, here's a quick little video as an example. So let's say I have a claim that vanilla is a better flavor than chocolate. So that's my claim, and I've found some facts that go with that. So here's one article that I'm using from a website called Kitchen Daily about vanilla beating chocolate as America's favorite ice cream flavor. And here's a second one that are some facts about vanilla from a website called WebMD. So I can use information from these websites in my paper. So going back to the first one from the website called Kitchen Daily, the article's titled Vanilla Beats Chocolate as America's Favorite Ice Cream Flavor. And here's a good piece of information right here. I can use that. Vanilla is the nation's favorite ice cream flavor and beats chocolate for the second time according to the International Dairy Foods Association. So I can take that and use it right in my essay. So we'll go back to our essay page. So back on our essay page, I'm going to type not the exact same thing, but something very similar. Okay, so there's a fact. I just took it right off the page, and now I have to give that page credit. I did not come up with this myself. So in the text, I have to do what's called an in-text citation and give them credit in parentheses. So let's look to see how to give that credit. So back on the page, first I should look for an author. I'm not seeing one. That's the title, that's who took the picture, but there's no author. So second thing I look for is the title of the article. Here it is, Vanilla Beats Chocolate as America's Favorite Ice Cream Flavor. Now in the text, I'm not going to use the whole title. I'm only going to use the first three words. Vanilla Beats Chocolate. So that's what I'll put in the text. So I'll go back to our page. So back on our page, I'm going to put that in parentheses. Then I will end my parenthesis and put a period. I have given this article, I've told you where I found that from this article. Now later I'm going to do a works cited to show you exactly where you can go find that. So I would maybe have some commentary here, or I could go into my next fact, depending on which organization pattern I'm using. So I'm just going to give you another fact. So another fact, going back to our source about fun facts about vanilla, is that vanilla is actually the second most expensive spice in the world. That's what that says. There's the most expensive called saffron. Then there's the second most expensive, vanilla. Vanilla is actually a spice. So I think that's a pretty neat fact. So I'm going to use that in my essay. So going back to the essay, I can add that in. There's that fact. It's exactly what it said, is that vanilla is the second most expensive spice in the world. Now, I didn't take their exact words, so I'm not putting it in quotation marks, but I still have to give credit. So, looking back to the article, the first thing I look for is an author. This one has an author listed, a lady named Chloe Thompson. So, in my paper, in the actual text, all I need is that last name, Thompson. So going back in the text, I need to put her last name in parentheses. So now I have told you, this is where I got this piece of evidence. So at the end of your paper, you'll have much more writing in here, obviously, because this is a much longer writing than 3 sentences. But at the end of everything, you're going to do what's called a works cited. So I put works cited there. Now this is where I list exactly where I found both of these. So if you remember, when we do a works cited, we need a lot of information. We need the author's name, we need the title of the article, we need the title of the publication, we need date it was published, the word web, the date we found it, and the web address. So let's go back to those two sources and find those. So for this source, I have the author, Chloe Thompson. I have the title, 8 Fun Facts About Vanilla. I have the name of the website, WebMD. Date it was published. I don't see one, so I'm going to put ND for no date. I found this on the web. I'll need today's date, and then I will need this web address. So going back, here's what it would look like. Here's exactly what all that information would look like on my page. Author, last name, first name, title of the article, title of the website. Remember, we couldn't find a date, so it's no date. The word web, the date I found it, and the web address. So that is exactly how that should look. So now I've told you, here's who did it, there's where you can find it. Now I'll need to do that again for this source. So let's look back at the article and find what we can find. So remember, in this one we could not find an author. So we have a title of the article. We have the title of the website. We have the date this was published. We have the word web. We have today's date. And then we have this web address. So I'll take that information, go back to my essay, and plug that in. So here it is. Title of the article, the whole title, name of the website, the date that was published, the word web, the date I found it, and the whole web address. So this, Vanilla Beats Chocolate, tells you I found this. And if I go down here, I can find exactly where that was. This is how to properly cite sources. So in your paper, I should see 2 citations in the text. If they both came from the same source, you're only going to have 1 of these. If they came from different sources, you will have 2 of these. Okay, so use this as a guide. Ask questions if you need to.